Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. We're like a book club for people who hate reading. This week we're doing the movie There Will Be Blood, made in 2007, and we bring you movie news at the end of the program. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and the strange man in a strange little box, Ryan Preston. This week was Ryan's pick, and he did the movie There Will Be Blood. So which one of you wants to explain what this movie's about?
Okay, well, I think we decided we're going to let IMDb do it because they kind of nailed it this time. Entire movie, as they put it, a story about family, greed, religion, and oil centered around a turn-of-the-century prospector in the early days of business. That's it. That's what this movie's about.
That's the best synopsis on IMDb I've ever heard.
It is.
Yeah, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, screenplay based on the novel by Upton Sinclair, but still written by PTA, starring Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano. And James, you had some thoughts.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I personally believe. This is the second time I've actually seen this. It's going to be very...
Let me ask you this. I remember last time we were talking, you texted me the day after I mentioned this, and you said, "You bastard."
No, it was asshole.
This movie, and I told you, well, you had a week to find the mood. I mean, were you able to?
No, actually.
Kind of watch, or did you just force yourself?
No, I forced myself pretty much. Okay. I've seen this movie before. This is it's not a bad movie. Don't get me wrong, people out there. It's not like I dislike this movie. It's just a movie that you need to be in the mood for. This is the second time I've seen this, and I'm not upset that I actually watched this one again.
That's what I suspect.
It's just that I needed to be in the mood, and it was going to take me a little bit more than a week to prepare for one of these movies, because this is a...
So is it like watching a David Lynch movie getting ready for you?
No.
Yeah, that takes some prep too.
Yeah, it does take some prep, but not like this one.
Drugs, you know what I mean? You just sit in a dark room for a while.
Yeah, I was thinking about this movie, and since this is the second time I've seen it, I've actually been able to kind of think about it a little bit more. And for me, this movie seems kind of like a little legitimate American gangster to me. It's like instead of going around and doing drugs, this guy was doing oil. And he was kind of his own little gangster, badass.
The Scarface of oil.
Yeah, that was kind of what he was more.
I could see that.
The Denzel Washington movie, American Gangster. Have you seen that one, John?
I hate Denzel Washington.
I know you know, but it's not a bad movie.
It's Denzel Washington.
Ryan? It's not a bad movie, actually. It's actually pretty good. The American Gangster?
It's
anyway.
likely.
But instead of having Denzel Washington up there, they actually got somebody I like. I like Daniel Day-Lewis. I think he is actually an underrated actor. He got the what's that movie? Gangs of New York, whatever it is.
Oh, with Leonardo, it's Gangs of New York.
Yeah, he got that one. Like, he got a stigmata off that movie, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of.
Well, because
that movie was.
Some of the reason I brought this up was because Lincoln's about to come out, and
I know, and he's playing Lincoln.
He's playing Lincoln, and this is, I don't know. The guy is he's a method actor, but he just sinks into any role, and from one thing to the next. I mean, people don't remember, this is the guy from Last of the Mohicans.
Yes, that too.
This is the same guy from one thing to the next, and then Gangs in New York, and then this, and it's just complete immersion in a character,
Yeah, one of the things that really impressed me about this movie, and I didn't get to appreciate it the first time I watched it. I think I did notice it, but I didn't even think about it at the time. But there is no talking. Absolutely no lines for the first 5.5 minutes. And then the only line is him finding the rock, cleaning it off, and then he says, "There it is." And then there is no talking again until 14 minutes in.
Right.
And then he actually starts to discuss what's going on. So you're watching this movie for about 14 minutes with only 3 words, people.
Right.
And you start to get enthralled by it. You get pulled into it during this time.
I don't even think... Did you in a way that a book would kind of lead up and build this description and bring you into that world. That's what that 14 minutes was.
Yeah, that's why, when John and I were watching, I pulled up the time thing a couple times. Just twice to find out when the first line was and then when they actually went into it, because I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't actually think about it and how well. Because I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis is actually the main part of that whole 14 and a half minutes. You have a couple people in the background, but they're not talking. You're mostly watching his expressions.
Oh, yeah, he was the focus.
And watching what he's doing. So I thought that was really well done. I thought that was showing how good of an actor he really is. And also, I think
anything else.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying I'm not comparing it to that. I'm going to leave that one up to John to see if he goes there.
Okay.
Goes where?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, never mind.
Ryan will go there if you don't. Anyway,
technically cryptic.
Now the other actor that really impressed me. Hold on, let me pull up his name.
Paul Dano.
Yes, Paul Dano.
Paul.
I mean, if there is a character other than who's the douchebag from Gladiator?
Russell Crowe.
No,
he's
Left Lip.
It's what's
He
his
played
name?
Johnny Cash.
The River Phoenix brother.
Yeah, if there's a character out there that I want to punch in the face with a baseball bat with razor wire wrapped around it,
more than the character from
more than the character from Gladiator, it's Paul Danos in this one. I mean, he played it very well, and not only did he play Paul, but he also or Eli, which is the most focused, but he also played another character in there, Paul. So
right,
he played
for
two
5
characters,
minutes, but still, you know.
He played two characters, and the Eli one, I mean, he did it so well that I don't think I can see him in any other role, and I have seen him in another role, Cowboys vs. Aliens.
Okay, well, think about this. He's the lead singer of a band.
I still would want to punch him in the face.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, did you see that?
No, I didn't.
It depends on the type of music, actually.
But, I mean, he did a really good job in being a character that you desperately want to hate, that you desperately want to see beat.
Well, you desperately want to find any redeeming quality in any of these characters sometimes. Way I felt. I mean, like really? Daniel Day-Lewis, I mean, he has his moments of weakness, but, like, that blind ambition towards this particular goal is
well, he outright says it when he's talking to his fake brother, is, I don't want to see anybody else succeed.
Yeah, right. It's a competition.
More than I want to succeed, I want to see everybody else fail.
Yeah.
And that kind of mentality, and I don't know, I think it was probably just an allegory for what oil has done to society and how it was always this way, how it was always just instantly corruptive, and all right, well, that's all I really wanted to point out about the movie. I'm not gonna take everything, and I'm kind of took a little bit longer on what some of the highlights of this movie were for me. So I took a little bit longer, so I'm gonna pass it off to John.
I don't have too many. One of the things I was gonna say, like James said, is Paul Dano does a great job in playing a psychopathic preacher in this movie. Yeah. I wanted to hurt him the entire movie. As soon as I saw him, he opened his mouth, it's like somebody hit him. Yeah. One of my favorite scenes is when Daniel Day-Lewis was slapping him around. It's like, finally, you get to hear him quiet.
The mother wants to punch him.
I think you were a little bit like, why is he... I remember you asking me, why is he slapping him? And I'm like, why not?
Well, it didn't.
That's just pent-up frustration.
That's what I said. I finally said, well, he's frustrated over a bunch of different things, and he's taking it out on this guy because he had bad timing. And he's just a
guy to take it out on.
True. I just thought it was really weird. It's like, okay, but random guy to beat up, but after the fact, it's like, good choice.
Well, he had a little bit of history with him, and it was like a bully mentality. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is somebody I could pick on and take out a little aggression.
I actually think Paul Dano was picking on Daniel Day-Lewis's character. Well, I think
or a psychological manner. I mean, trying to break him down and get him to see the error of his ways. But then there's that scene in the church when he sneaks into the back and kind of sits down there. You can kind of see his face turn and just think like, this guy is more of a charlatan than I am, and I thought I was a piece of shit kind of look,
Yeah, I think that's why. Yeah, and
between them changes.
The other one is Daniel Day-Lewis actually does a really good job in this movie, so much so that I actually want to see the Lincoln biopic, which I didn't want to see before until I saw this.
Really?
Well,
there's so much stuff about Lincoln that I was just kind of like, but because I think if you have a bad actor playing Lincoln, the movie's just going to suck out loud.
Oh, yeah, right, that's true.
Right. But then when you have somebody like this, that's when they said, oh, Daniel Day-Lewis is playing Lincoln. I'm like, oh, okay, well, of course everybody's going to watch that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I really like, was it Henry Fonda? Jane Fonda's dad who did Lincoln.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I really, to me, that's like the movie version of Lincoln.
Wasn't it Young Mr. Lincoln?
Yeah, that's a young Mr. Lincoln, who I really, really like. So I was really hesitant about seeing it, but now I want to see it, especially since I got to realize again how great of an actor he is.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is you forget about him from one role to the next because he's just that character. He's not that actor.
Which I don't know. I haven't decided if that's a detriment or a good thing.
I think it's actually a good thing.
It's a great thing for audiences because this is one of those movies that's not made for hey, we want to entertain you. You know, it's touching back to just like great storytelling. Hey, we want to tell this story really, really well, you know?
Yeah.
Well, like, it lets you think of it the way, I mean, people walk out of this movie like, oh my God, I hate that character, I hate this character, but they're talking about it in the context of the movie.
They're not talking about it
lost in this kind of thing.
in the sense that the actor did a bad job.
Yeah, no, what I meant was...
That. You're not picking apart the holes in the plot. You're sitting there like, oh, that Eli was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I want to strangle him.
Or why would he do that to his son? I mean, I hate this character. I hate this movie because of these characters did what they did.
But you brought up something in the sense that, I mean, that you kind of... Or no, I think it was you were saying that you were trying to have difficulty finding redeeming factors about the characters, and John made me just think of one part that Daniel Day-Lewis did when his son mentions that the little girl's getting beat by the father.
Yeah.
And he grabs her, in front of the father and pulls her over and mentions to her, do you like the dress? Oh, does your father keep beating you in front of the father?
Well, she said that's not going on anymore, right? Sort of intimating that he had already had a prior conversation with the old man. Yeah,
but he's forcing it on the father, like, don't you forget.
Right, like, hey, you see, like, everybody knows, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
so that's
the way with shit.
Yeah, so that's kind of redeeming sense of him.
Well, I thought out of all of them, I thought Plainview had the most redeeming quality.
I agree.
No, I actually agree. I mean, when you get into just the character study of it, all of his the little things that he does, you know, is what sells it between the dialogue, you know.
I think if you want to get a little, to analyze it a little more, I think you could see Plainview started out as a good guy, and as he got older, he got corrupted by,
there you go.
The money and the oil and the drive to succeed.
I don't think that's the case.
And that kind of drive doesn't stop when you're rich. You keep going.
But I don't think that's the case. I don't think you get corrupted by that. I think he just lost more and more faith of humanity because he said that he doesn't like humanity.
Well, that whole great scene next to the fireplace with his fake brother.
And then
I can't keep doing these things with these people.
Yeah, then he shoots his brother because he finds out that his brother's fake. And then his son goes, I'm not doing it in sequence, but, then his son is falling apart. And then, there's just all these little things that, I think just drove him into the madness. And then he finally
kind of broke his spirit a little bit. Yeah.
So I think that wasn't it. I think it was just all his underlying qualities that he was trying to suppress came to the surface.
I like that better. I do. And the other one I was thinking is it's a character-driven movie with a plot built around it. Because you got a bunch of good actors. Even the kid who played HW.
Which he hasn't had a role after that.
No, he reminded me of little Damien kid from the remake of Omen.
Oh, see, okay, I was thinking he reminded me of Walking Dead kid.
Oh, Carl?
Yeah. Carl. He looked like Carl. At times he looked like Carl.
I don't know, throw some black hair on him. That's the Omen kid, I'm telling you.
I'm not arguing you there, I'm just saying.
So I did like the fact that it was based, it was a total actor movie. It wasn't an action movie, where all the action drives the story. I thought that was cool.
But then we're agreed to me that the actors, that's the only way that they were able to pull that movie off, or pull that story off was with just unbelievable actors like that.
Yeah, I think it was exactly. And the other thing, I was going to say, it's typically not my type of movie. To me, there's not a great amount of rewatchability, but it was a great movie. It's worth seeing. It's one of those movies you get to see, okay, this is what a true character actor, a movie that's driven by the actors more than the story.
There was one particular part I wanted to bring up in point with that. The part where they're at the beach, him and his fake brother, and they're sitting on the sand, and he says, we'll take him to the peach tree dance. And then he's like, and he's still got his head down, and he says, I say we'll get him liquored up and take him to the peach tree dance. And then you just kind of half-assed acknowledges it, and you see Daniel Day-Lewis's face just sort of tell this like 45-second story, like, you son of a bitch, I know your secret now, and then but you can't, that kind of subtle storytelling, you know, just on somebody's face, you know what I mean? Like, not very many people can do that. Not very many people try.
I think the closest thing I think of it is The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, when the scene it zoomed up on the faces, when the whole thing was quiet, when you could read the story within those faces.
Yeah, well, Clint Eastwood, I mean, that is a face actor.
Well, I was going to say, you know, another one that did that is gone and killed himself, Brokeback Mountain.
Oh.
Ledger could do that.
Yeah.
So it's not a very well known. It's not a very well developed quality. Yeah, there you go. It's not practiced as much as it should be.
Yeah, because it's not needed. Because everybody's just out to be entertained. You know, the idea of just telling a great story. I mean, I'm sure you guys noticed the dialogue was incredible. I mean, because it was based on a book.
Yeah.
You know, and books, all they are is a great story because they have to be. Otherwise, they're unreadable.
Yeah, I don't know. I've read some 300-page books that you know that you know it's like reading a trauma movie.
Well, yeah. Okay, so, I'll give you the I'll give you that.
Wow.
But as far as, you know, like these novels that end up being turned into movies, there's a reason for it, you know.
Yeah. So what about you, Mr. Ryan?
What about me?
Your picks on the movie. What do you think about it?
Oh, I mean, shit. I love the character study.
Fanboy.
That's what I'm smelling.
I love the character study. The actors obviously were great, especially the little boy dude. I mean, like you said, he didn't do anything after, and it's kind of a shame. But at the same time, it's kind of great that he just sort of came out of nowhere and did that.
Yeah, it's very rare that happens.
And you know, to be across from Daniel Day-Lewis, that's got to be intimidating. You know,
I mean,
everybody sort of held their own.
The only other little kid that I can think of that did that came literally out of nowhere and pulled off a really well done role is the little boy who played across from Braveheart, William Wallace, the young William Wallace. They found him in a bar.
Well, yeah. First 25 minutes of the movie, I guess he was in it, but you know.
But still, that's like he has no behind actor ability, and he just came in and pulled it off.
Yeah.
So,
but
it's a rare thing.
Well, I think it comes down to more of, not to belittle what the kid did. I think it comes down to the director.
Yes.
I think if the director can say, this is what I need you to do, and the kid can do it, if it's a good director, I think, you know.
Right.
Well, I think even
they'll get it in X amount of takes, and he'll get what he wanted. But the two things that I loved was you already brought it up, just the lack of dialogue, which obviously I think I saw this movie first, but the intro scene for help me out here, James. I'm losing it.
No.
What's the damn movie?
No
Country for Old Men. Thank you. The intro for No Country for Old Men had that same 10 minutes, no dialogue, and you're just kind of figuring out.
And no soundtrack.
And no soundtrack at all. Well,
unlike this movie. This movie, I did not like the score. I did not at all.
I thought it fit though.
I love the score. I thought the score was definitely understated.
Too much synthesizer. It's like you're watching an '80s.
Well, look, all the score is there to do, James, is to get sort of invoke the feeling that the character's feeling at the moment.
I understand that.
You along the journey, and it was minimalist.
Talking down to the other co-hosts.
I think there was too many. There was too many times that they dragged it out longer than it should have been.
So overused.
Yes, I think they could have gotten away with maybe 40 seconds instead of 5 minutes of it.
I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree with that because I thought this is. I
think they stretched it.
Well, my thought was the scenes where they really stretched it. I thought they were trying to boost the emotions shown. So I think by having it extended, I thought they were trying to build up the emotions that maybe they weren't missing, or trying to build more of it. That's what I thought.
A little suspense in the beginning, you know. I didn't think it was overused.
I think it was overused. I think it was overused.
We're not talking about it's a bad score, because I kind of liked the.
How many times do you hear me talk about music and scores in movies?
A couple of times.
Because it plays a lot in how you feel when you watch the movie.
I think they stretched it out too much.
All right, well.
So
that's just my point. That's just my opinion. You
Your
got to have an
bullshit.
opinion.
wow. I think I hear nothing. That's a first.
Anyway,
Anyway, go on.
but yeah, anyway, I like movies like this, and it's a type of movie that we haven't done. I don't think on this is just kind of that really you're sort of figuring things out. Nothing's really being said for you, and it's just this sort of like you said, it's what was your quote on it? With a plot wrapped around it.
Yeah, it was a character-driven movie with a plot wrapped around it.
A character study with a plot wrapped around it. Yeah,
that's actually really well stated. So,
well, I'll go.
I guess we're going to scores now.
Yeah, I'll go first. I got to say, I was originally going to give it a 2 out of 3, but then I realized it was better than Buffalo 66, so I'm giving it a 3, based on that alone, because I like this movie a lot more.
Whoa, man!
I know, it just spit in your face.
But overall, I liked the movie. It's not something I would rewatch again, but it is something that I would suggest people watch. This was something that I wanted to see, but I just didn't. Eventually, just didn't have the gumption to do it. So I like this movie. I think it's a solid 3 out of 5, and I think it's a must see if you want to watch a movie that has amazing acting.
Okay. All right, I'll go before the fanboy. Now, one of my things about good movies and well acted and well directed and great storyline movies is that they don't have amazing rewatchability. It doesn't mean that you don't want to watch it again, but you need to space out the time that you watch it. And what I'm talking about is years. Like, you may watch this movie 10 years, and then another 10 years later, you will want to watch that movie again. This is one of those movies.
I'll agree with that.
So, on every scale that I could put it on, it comes out to be a 4 for me.
Wow.
This movie has great acting. It has great story. It has just great feel about it. You actually want to know what's going on. You want to find out. You want to see what's going to happen next. The end of the movie, it kind of loses a little bit, but it's showing the drive of this man being to the point that he has nothing else to do but just to amuse himself in any fashion. So that's kind of where it goes, and that's where it ends up at the end of the movie. And I think that is a great way of telling this movie and finishing it off. So it gives a 4.
What about you, Ryan?
God, I feel so vindicated. This is amazing. I mean, the only thing that we disagree on is the score use, and the use of the score, and not even the quality of it. For pretty much every reason that James said, especially the. Well, I'd like to point out another thing as far as the rewatchability. You can't watch this movie all the time. It's been, I don't know, since it came out, since I actually saw this movie.
Yeah, it was 2008.
Watching it again, it was like, oh, wow,
you're
noticing these little things and paying attention to different things, and there's always sort of those new things to find, even though it just leaves this residual lasting effect. Like, you don't need to watch that movie for a while after.
You
don't think about it for a couple of days after you watch it.
So what's your score?
That's a solid 4 for me, too, dude.
Yeah. I think this movie deserves a 4. I would like it to give it a 5, but for me to give it a 5, it needed to encompass more than just a drama for me. There needed to be more of an action, like he goes out on a shooting rampage or something.
I was going to say, we need a good car chase, and it'd be a 5.
Good car chase or good gun battle.
We cut to the car chase from Bullet, and we're good.
Or they could just do Bourne, where it was 3/4 of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I think they started that with, I think they've done that for all of them, but I think the Italian Job, the remake of it, the really shitty remake of it, brought back the idea of, let's race these cars for 25 minutes of this movie.
No, I think this movie, I'm actually going to have to watch it and time it, but I think the Bourne movie had a longer car chase.
I think it did too.
Absolutely, but the shitty Italian Job remake was first, as far as like, hey, look what we can do with these new Mini Coopers.
So here's my question. Do you want to go on the movie news, or do you want to go what we're going to watch for in the theaters next week?
Are we in the
I'm
theaters
actually
next week?
curious on what we're thinking for the theaters next week, so let's do that.
Well, here's the two that I want to see. There's the Skyfall that came out this week, and there's the Man with the Iron Fists, which is one brought to you by
Bond.
So do Bond?
Yeah, it's got to be Bond.
Yeah, we have to do Bond.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no question there. It's got to be Bond.
And it might even be like a 2-hour special when we come back, because holy shit, I'm going to have some stuff to say about that.
because this is what I've been looking forward to. So, ladies and gentlemen, next week our theater pick is going to be unanimous. It's going to be James Bond. And what's your news, Ryan?
Okay, well, I only wanted to bring up a couple of things. One of them, James and I we started to have a conversation about that we figured we should stop and continue it here.
Yeah, I think this needs to be something that we can do here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And but the other thing I'll bring up really quick before we get into this is Marvel has been sold. Or I'm sorry, not Marvel.
Star Wars.
Lucas.
Star Wars.
Lucas.
Has been sold to Disney for $4.05 billion. They're keeping him on as a creative consultant, and they're going to but they're going to do episodes 7, 8, 9.
Here's the question. Do you know, is he getting a seat on the board? Is he getting stock? Did you know how exactly? Because
I don't think he's getting stock. I think he flat out sold his share of the company.
Because I know he was the sole owner of Lucas.
Right.
And because when they sold,
I know they kept him as a creative consultant, as far as keeping with canon, but I don't know, because there was a guy that ran that had a job at Lucasfilm that ran. If anybody knows anything about Star Wars, the holocron is just like a keeper of knowledge. This is starting to get dirty. But the computer that they have, this guy's job is basically to keep track of Star Wars canon. To keep it linear, to keep it in line, nothing overlaps or contradicts.
Because I was going to say, the reason why I asked, when Disney bought Pixar, it actually gave Steve Jobs a controlling interest in Disney.
Ding dong.
Well, then okay, then I don't know. I mean, if Lucas would even want to do that in the first place. I mean, the only thing that I heard was creative consultant but no real creative control. But I don't know if he's on the board of Disney.
As far as I'm concerned, Lucas needs to shut up, sit down, and go play with his lightsaber. Okay? Well, that's as far as I'm concerned. He needs to stay out of Star Wars, be done with it, because he has been keeping a lid on it for too long. There are too many fanboys who have written so much good canon that goes along with the whole world, the whole genre, all the storyline. I want to see Luke. There are fans
that know more than Lucas now.
Exactly.
Well, I was going to say, besides Star Wars, Disney also bought one of the best special effects houses in the business. They also bought ILM.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Industrial Light and Magic, and that's a big deal.
Do amazing things with. I mean, Disney they've cultivated this thing where it's like, okay, we're just going to collect the greatest people in the world to do these things for us.
Exactly.
So like when they team up with Pixar, it's like, look, you're getting together the best animators that are alive.
I mean, how good was Brave?
Make this thing for us, and
I haven't had a chance to see it.
Have you seen Brave?
No, I haven't.
I want to.
That is actually probably one of the best movies that for kids that has come out in a long time.
I want to see Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, same here.
I want to see that one too. But I mean, these are things that Disney is doing nowadays, and
I'll be.
I'm a little. I don't honestly can say that I like that Disney is doing this, because Disney is getting pretty much. I mean, they're grasping the market and squeezing the crap out of it.
Well, considering what they did with,
they have the potential to let the right people do it.
Yeah, but I think they
obviously we can agree that Lucas doesn't need to be directing more movies.
Yeah, I agree.
And ever again.
But I think the thing that they've learned from the Pirates of the Caribbean fiasco is to just kind of let it not to force it out, just to let it do its own thing. That was a
thing where it's like, okay, we had this great idea, we made this great movie. I remember seeing the original Pirates like 4 times in the theater because it was the shit.
No, I'm talking about
that was the only thing that they had that was good, and then they kept making up stuff, laying track in front of the train to keep the money going. But with Star Wars, you have the world's largest pool of amazing shit to pull from. That if the right pieces are put together, it's gonna turn out to be a good picture.
Sorry.
The last thing what I'm talking about is the fact that they got rid of the ride, and they lost a lot of money. I'm talking about Pirates.
Oh, Pirates.
Do you remember that growing up in LA?
Yeah,
you
no,
were
they
with
changed
me.
the ride. Yeah, of course I remember.
But they also had the whole thing where you could go and you could watch them doing all this crazy stuff. Do you remember that?
Now, see, this is my whole big beef with the Pirates ride. They made this movie based on the ride. Okay, so it already tied in with the movie and the ride. Why the fuck did they have to remodel it to make it tie in with the movie? It already did. That's why they made the movie.
I know. But what I'm talking about is that they used to have the guys doing a show. Do you remember that with the big old shit?
Yeah.
And then they got rid of that, and then they went to the movie, and then they went all this. So I mean, if they don't screw everything up with Star Wars, they can make so much money. But I think they learned that through Pirates, and then they continued to allow Pixar to do what they want. I don't think they screwed up Toy Story. Do you guys?
No.
Well,
no. The last one fucking brought me to tears. Are you kidding me? That was a great.
Well, here's what I was going to say. Sorry.
Go on.
But there's two things. Is one, they bought Marvel and did Avengers, which is something that has never happened as far as I know. Had so many movies tie into one.
Yeah.
Well, and see, here's proving my point again. They took a fan and said, "Hey, you like this stuff, right?" And yeah, of course. Okay, you do it. We'll leave you alone.
Well,
and that's what you got was the Avengers. Joss Whedon was just a fanboy who makes movies.
The thing that I have to say is, as an animation fan, what they don't do is they don't do a whole lot of traditional animation, and that to me is the part that's sad. Is you got all these kids today that haven't grown up with hand drawn animation.
They don't know what a cell is.
But they re-release it. They continue to re-release it. Yeah, they don't know what a cell is, but they continue to re-release it.
Well,
I mean, they do the anniversaries and anniversaries and anniversaries. And screw you, Disney, stop putting in new scores. But they continue to do that over and over and over again.
The only thing, my only comment about this is what Disney does is they have stuff they'll never release because it has themes in it that aren't PC today.
Oh, you're talking about the moratorium that they put on half their shit?
Yeah, there's movies like Songs of the South, which my problem with this is...
But they're not going to re-release all the racist crap.
Well, no, but here's my thing. My thing is
available. I mean,
my thing is it's a piece of history that at the time was correct.
But
whether it's correct now is completely different than when it was then. So
okay,
some of my favorite cartoons were the old Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, racist stuff that you never even knew was that racist until you watch it as an adult.
Okay, who remembers Leroy?
And what?
Warner Brothers. Bugs Bunny.
Oh,
you remember Leroy?
Yeah.
The with the straw hat and
the black kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, his knuckles were dragging on the ground as he walked.
Dude, listen, even worse than that. How did Bugs Bunny thwart his evil plan to get shot in the face by this small black child? He pulled out a pair of dice, man.
Yep.
I don't remember that.
Dice behind a bush. That was. I'm watching this since I'm like 20 years old, and I'm watching this again because I hadn't seen it since I was like 6. And I'm just sitting there like with my mouth at the ground, just this was acceptable at a certain point. Not their image.
This comes down to my whole thing is like I think they should release it no matter what, and just if they anything put a blurb on it say this is not what we believe, but this was it's a history lesson of anything.
But
where the hell is Speedy Gonzalez?
You still see it.
About that yesterday, dude. That's freaking hilarious that you brought that up.
I mean, where
that's considered like you're saying something about an entire group of people. I mean, it's completely prejudiced.
If you don't actually, I mean, if you're friends with a Mexican person from Mexico and you go andale arriba, they know about Speedy and they like Speedy Gonzalez.
Oh yeah, no, it was almost like a national icon.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. Then why don't they get rid of Elmer Fudd? Because as a white person, I'm kind of offended.
I know.
Really?
No.
I'm more offended by Yosemite Sam because he's more.
I like Yosemite Sam. Screw you.
Yeah, lay off Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, do you have any more movie news?
No, hold on. I'm bringing it up to this. Okay, so since we were just talking about tying in a bunch of movies together, Brian and I were discussing this, and I believe that they should do the JLA kind of the same way. Now, hold on. Let me preface this. I don't think they really need to cover everybody like the Atom, Black Canary, elongated man.
They probably
Not
might
Elastaman,
bring those in.
elongated
Well,
man.
no. Here's the thing.
Hold on.
Would they do the actual starting members? You know, like the Flash, the Green Lantern,
I think they
That's
should.
all
the
they
Martian
need.
Manhunter, Wonder Woman, Batman,
Yes.
and Supes.
Okay,
Right.
they've already done Batman, although we all know that Kristen Bale is not going to continue with the Batman since Nolan's not around.
But they've already announced the remake and reboot of the Batman series, so whatever that's going to be, there's
Yeah.
your Batman.
And I don't know if this Superman movie is going to be good enough to stand up with JLA.
I do want to see
Well,
it though.
I heard
I
it
do.
is, and I heard it's supposed to be the first tie-in to JLA.
Bingo.
I
That's
think-
what I heard.
Yeah, and I think they should do a Wonder Woman. I think
They're already in production with it.
I think they should do a Flash.
They need to do a Flash.
And
They don't need an Aquaman.
Yeah, thank you. They
But
don't
here's-
need an Aquaman. I agree.
But my one thing, if they do have Flash, they got to have. Oh God, I don't remember his name. Luke Skywalker. The character Mark Hamill.
No.
He played the Toy Master. They got to have Mark Hamill in there somewhere,
No.
just
Yeah.
because of all the voice work he's done for that cartoons over the years.
Seriously.
Even
Alright.
if he's
He's got to come in and reprise like a good Joker. I mean, that's,
How about he's just
if
sweeping the
not-
floor?
well, yeah. See, I'm saying like sweeping the floor, doing something, handing out toy lightsabers, something just to say he's in there.
What's his name? Oh gosh, I can't think of his name. That was in all the Spider-Mans and the Fantastic Four.
Stan.
Yeah.
Stan Lee. They should make him be like a Stan Lee where he's just like sweeping the floor or some shit.
I'm down with that.
I think they really desperately need to do a Martian Manhunter.
How?
They don't need to do a Martian Manhunter.
I
Look,
think
Martian
they do.
Manhunter and Aquaman and even Flash. Honestly, even Flash, dude, they don't need their own movie. They can introduce these characters into JLA, the movie.
Now hold on, I agree with you because I mean I agree with you, but I disagree with you.
Somebody's a little sensitive on that issue.
I agree with you, but I disagree with you because I think they didn't do. Now, if you guys ever pay attention, they didn't do a Hawkeye. They didn't do a Hawkeye
Black
movie,
Widow.
and they didn't do a Black Widow movie. They didn't do a Shield movie.
Well, they introduced those via Iron Man, so they could do a 2-for-1 like they did.
They did not.
That's exactly what they'll probably do with the end of Superman or something like that. You know, maybe show like him. Oh, I got to go to Gotham City or something like that. Somebody needs my help.
But I
or
think
whatever. I mean, you know, the beginning of their relationship. You know.
But I think that a Hawkman movie would be kind of interesting if they did it
Well,
right.
You could really do a whole movie. Look, you have to do these in a way to where it's good enough to sort of match with the JLA movie, in as much as the Iron Man before the second one.
Well, here's
And the other thing I wanted to bring up is they've already are covering a really fantastic. If you guys aren't out there and you haven't watched it, I suggest you go back and catch the first episode and continue on. Is they've really done a fantastic Green Arrow.
I gotta watch
beginning.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
like,
kind of like that show. And
Like, I mean, they did
way to
a
go
really good job.
CW for once.
I know.
Wait! Can
I
I
saw
hear?
that shit.
Can I hear that again? I never heard anybody say that.
Nobody,
I know,
because everybody.
the words have never come out of a human being's mouth. I don't think. Way
Yeah.
to go, CW, on actually doing something halfway decent.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody saw that coming because all the CW fans have blindfolds on.
Right?
No, they're
Or
waiting.
just glasses that are about that thick.
They're waiting for a Dawson's Creek rerun.
For Seventh Heaven.
Oh man!
Well,
Really?
here's- well,
Man, dude.
Oh,
but
man.
before we end the show, I'm gonna say I want a Martian Manhunter thing, but what they should do
I
is
agree.
they should do 4 people. They should do, since they're gonna do Supes, they're gonna do Batman. They should do Wonder Woman and one more character, and then just introduce the rest of them in that.
Right, exactly. In the Justice League movie, that's when you introduce your Martian Manhunter, your
See,
Hawk.
I
Hawkman
like
stuff.
I like Martian Manhunter. I think
I do
I
too.
love Martian Manhunter.
Well, no, here's why. Here's why. Because out of all of them, I think he has one of the interesting stories that you've never heard told. Unlike at the rest of them, I think he's one you could do just one movie about.
And you
I
know
think
what's
it'd be
interesting?
fine.
I was hearing somebody talk about this the other day. Is nobody really was that big on Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man was something from my childhood that I remember really well.
I
from
liked
cartoons.
Iron Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Sure,
I
you
like
guys
Tony
do,
Stark.
but as far as like your huge superheroes, he wasn't in the microcosm of these like elite 8 superheroes
You know
until
the-
that movie came out.
you know the
you
one I didn't
theoretically
like?
could do a Martian Manhunter movie, do it really well, and people would come on board.
But
I didn't like Captain America.
Well, Captain America was the first Avenger thing.
I know,
So-
but I did not like Captain America. I still don't really like Captain America. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he was always like the Superman of that bunch.
Here's my worry is we're running a 10 minutes long, but here's my worry is it's either going to turn out like the Green Lantern or the Captain America movie from the 80s or the television show from the 80s. It's either going to be really good or, dear God, why did I just spend 2 hours and 30 minutes watching this movie?
Okay, the last thing I want to say out there is, fans, if you guys are watching this and you guys even care, let us know what you guys think.
Please.
Seriously. Because, I mean, this is something that we're just discussing, but we put it out there for you guys as well to let us know. I mean, do you guys think that they should make a movie for everybody?
Or any actual concerns, we'll bring it up on the next show and address your points.
The last one that I would like to see is I would like to see a live-action Doctor Strange. That was always my favorite.
I second that one. I want to see that. I love
I have
Doctor
been
Strange.
a fan of his since I was a little tiny kid. So you people that don't even know who he is, go read a freaking comic book.
I want to see the Doctor Strange movie. That would be, or a longer cartoon would be cool.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of longer cartoons, anybody who was a Turtles fan, Ninja Turtles fan, they've redone the Ninja Turtles on Nickelodeon. The first 6 episodes kind of kick ass. I'm dodging for that shit.
They fit really well with the original 90s. They're not super serious like the 2000s. They're kind of goofy like the 90s ones.
Really goofy.
Very
Everybody's
self-aware.
got their own character, like it's still the old Turtles.
It's a very self-aware cartoon.
Okay. Very, very self-aware.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for Real Flix reviews on There Will Be Blood, I gave it a 3. James and Ryan both gave it a 4. Next week, we're doing Skyfall, so you better watch it before we do, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
They will support you. They will do referrals between clients. You can't ask for a more complete marketing package.
We love the windfall!
And you can too. Think advertising with the Windfall couldn't get any better? Well, it just did. For only $125 for a 30-second commercial filmed by Old Guy Tech TV, you can be seen and heard.